Floats are the strands of yarn as they're carried across the back of your work. So as you're going across your work, when you're changing from one color like orange to green, and then there's a stretch of green, and then you come back to orange, on the back side you'll see that the strand of orange is being carried across those stitches. And there are a couple different ways to deal with floats. So if we turn this piece inside out, each of these stripes was worked with a different method of dealing with the floats. So here in this stretch down here, the floats were carried all the way across any stitches that were that did not have that color in them. So if the float stretch was long, the float on the back is very long, and you can see here that the floats float across a lot of stitches. This method works okay, but sometimes it can lead to sloppy knitting, or you can get your fingers or other things caught in these floats as you're putting on a garment. So another way to deal with it is to actually catch the floats. So you can catch the floats by twisting the threads together every so often. And here in this middle section, I twisted the threads together when the float was longer than about 5 stitches. So if the float was 5 stitches or less, I just carried the float, and if it was longer, then I would twist it together. And up here in the top section, I twisted the floats together every time the float stretch was longer than 2 or 3 stitches. So basically, it's just a matter of how often do you want to twist your stitches together. And there are advantages and disadvantages to twisting your stitches together. The advantage is that you don't end up with these long loopy floats, so that's a good reason to do it. But if you do it very often, your fabric is a little bit less elastic than it is when you have a long float. So this fabric down here is a little more elastic than it is up here. If the garment is not a very fitted garment, like a pair of socks or something, then you probably don't need to worry about how much stretch is in your garment. So if that's the case, you may want to catch your floats more often to keep the backside neat and clean.